Greetings viewers and welcome back. You knew that I just couldn't stay away from some 40K goodness. This is the only thing I have 40K related right now. It just came in. I just happened to see this model the other day in a video, and as soon as I saw it, I knew I was going to end up getting it. And I really wanted to paint it. It looks really awesome, and I have refrained from opening it because I wanted to share that with you and kind of go over it. And I'm going to make this kind of a multi-part series here as I assemble and prepare this model and get it painted up for you and kind of go step by step and show you what I'm doing. Hopefully you like the format, and if that's the case, then I may have to buy some other models and do the same thing with it. So how about we dive right in here and see what's in the box first, and then we'll kind of look at it, because this model does have a couple options you can do for building it. I know which one that I want to use, and I'm going to kind of show you that and my thought process going through it. I'm going to go ahead and take parts off of the sprue, clean them up, show you kind of what I'm going to be doing with it. So let's go ahead and open it. All right. So obviously the first thing we have is the instruction booklet here. Like I said, there's multiple, well, there's two, but that's more than one, so multiple ways of assembling this thing, and they have their own little symbols here depending on which pose that you want him in. So we have sprue number 1 here. It's got kind of his main leg bits right here. Got part of his backpack. It looks like it comes in a couple different pieces. This thing has a couple layers to it, it looks like. There's also a little Gretchen guy that he comes with that has a banner that's an additional model. That's why there's two bases in here, one big, one little. This is the second sprue. This is the part that attaches to the base itself, and then you mount the model to this, and that's going to be significant because of the way that I'm planning on assembling this and sticking him to the base. We've got his gun here in multiple pieces. We've got more leg parts, because that on top of the big giant claw seems to be the majority of the model. That's all that's in here. So like I mentioned, there's two different options for ways to stand this guy up. One of them, he's presenting his gun, and the other one, his gun is kind of up and the gun barrels are just smoking, and it's kind of canted off to the side. It's not really a huge difference. It's just kind of which way the model's leaning, which leg is going to be forward on that base piece there. The one I'm going to go with is the gun that's pointing kind of like he's shooting, which is the main art on the box here. So it's going to look like this. On here, they've drilled out the gun barrels, which is also something that I plan on doing. I also like to do things my own way. I remember in a previous video showed a orc that I had painted, and he was blue, and I kind of really liked the way he turned out. So again, I'm not going to be sticking with the norm when it comes to painting the models. I want to make it so that it's my own. So he's definitely going to be blue. As far as the color for his armor here, I'm probably just going to do basic metal. I've got a bunch of random different metal colors, so I'm going to just kind of make it look like it's a hodgepodge thing thrown together kind of in orky fashion, and they perhaps maybe didn't get a chance to paint it, or all the paint got worn off with all the wah action that they've been participating in. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make them be on a snow themed base, and in the event that I actually end up collecting an orc army, or whether I'm painting them to just display them or painting to play, I'm going to stick with that theme. So I'm going to be paying careful attention to what I'm picking for my colors, and kind of probably write those down off to the side. So if maybe a few months goes by and I get the itch again and I go ahead and pick up some more orcs and I start painting them, I can remember without having to try to color match and scratch my head and think about what I'm going to be doing with that. So when it comes to kind of deciding how I'm going to assemble and paint this thing, like I said, I'm gonna have to scrape all the mold lines off. That's gonna be the first thing once I remove the pieces that I need for the sprue, from the sprue. Gonna drill out the gun barrels. The little piece that I showed you on the sprue here that he mounts to, this mounts to the base. So more than likely what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to just go ahead and clip that off, and I'm going to slap it down on the base, and I'm going to prime that and paint it separate. The model itself is going to be assembled and primed and painted separately as well, because the problem is if this model is on the base, I can't paint up under here in this area underneath his legs and underneath the body very well. It makes it really hard to get the primer up there, which then I'm going to need for the paint to stick. So if I do that in 2 parts, I can just kind of stand him on his head on some cardboard. I can go ahead and spray him in that manner, and I can get the whole base done. If you look, this thing's fairly detailed. There's a Space Marine helmet there, a bunch of crushed, crumbled concrete. There's some like diamond plate aluminum pieces there. So I want to be able to actually get to all that. There's a bunch of spent brass and like barbed wire over here, rebar. I want to be able to get to that stuff and make it as detailed as possible. So again, if the model is standing on top of that, it makes it really hard to get the brush in there and not slop paint all over everything that I don't want painted. So doing it in a 2-part process is going to be the best way to go about it. So by doing that, if this has paint over it and the model has paint on it, the glue is going to be holding the paint. It's not going to be holding the plastic to plastic. So also what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up pinning his feet. So once this is stuck to the base, I'm going to figure out once he's assembled where his feet are going to be, and I'm going to end up drilling holes into this, probably all the way through the into the base unless this doesn't touch. And I'm going to just basically try and give him a little bit of extra structure using the paper clip method like I showed you in my pinning video. So I'm going to go ahead and get some of these main parts clipped off, and then I don't want to bore you with every single individual thing I'm doing, so I'll get to like the cleanup and I'll kind of speed through so you can see me working on that. Maybe play some nice music for you guys. So we'll be right back with some of this stuff clipped off and show you the next steps. One thing you really want to be careful of is when you're clipping these out is to make sure that what you're clipping is not an essential part of the model and that it is just the extra plastic holding it to the sprue frame, because it's really hard to put small tiny chunks of plastic back on once you've clipped them off. So our first step involves assembling one of his feet here, except we've got mold lines on here and little pieces of plastic much like the base that you saw in fast motion while I was kind of scraping it. So I'm just going to go back over it with my X-Acto blade here and just get rid of all these extra chunks and things that aren't going to look so good because they will stand out really bad. It's kind of hard to notice when it's all one uniform color. Once you throw some primer on here, it stands out, and then once you start painting and you see it, it's a little bit late to go back and try and get rid of it without taking all your hard work and painting away. So I'm going to go ahead and get to scraping and assembling, and we'll get this bad boy rolling. So as much fun as it probably is watching me scrape mold lines off of plastic, I'm not going to bore you with that even in fast motion for too long. So I'm going to skip to the next area of attack that I'm going to work on with this model. So this is his 4-barreled gun that he's got, and if you notice, the ends of the gun here are kind of smoothed off little nubs. That's because each one of these individual 4 little dot looking things stick on to, well, they stick on once you glue them, but they go over that. Now if you look at it, it kind of already has a little dimple in it. I guess it's supposed to signify that that's the barrel. I don't think it looks that realistic. I'd like to take it a little bit of a step further, and I'm going to grab my hobby drill and I'm going to drill the barrels out. Also the little side port that's on here as well, that's going to get drilled out. I just, the easiest way to make it look realistic is to actually have a hole there. So that's what I'm going to go with. So let me grab my hobby drill and we'll drill these out before they end up getting stuck to the gun. All right, so I've got my drill bits here, looking at them and trying to compare them to the size of the holes that are already there. I'm not trying to enlarge them. All I'm trying to do is just make what's there look realistic. Same thing with this port on the side. This drill bit is about the exact same size that would go in there. So 11/16 is what I'm going to use. All right, so once I've got my hole started in a straight-ish direction, I can pick it up and I can just hold it, keeping it as straight as possible. I'm going to drill all the way through to the other side. There's not necessarily a reason that you have to do that, but I'm just going to do it because I can. I could just stop halfway through the plastic and it'll be fine, but I'm already all the way through, so I'm just going to kind of ream that hole out a little bit. And there we go, we've got our barrel, but this particular little nub also has a port that goes from one side to the other, so I'm going to drill that out much the same fashion. Just going to put it straight down on the table. Once I've got it pointed straight up, I'm going to kind of pinch it, hold it in place so my fingers aren't interfering with the drill bit, and then we're just going to drill straight into the plastic. Now, in the event that I did not line it up exactly straight so that it's not, theoretically the drill bit should pop out on the other side coming out of that port, but in the event that we did not do that correctly, just in case, I'm not going to go all the way through. I'm going to stop, turn it over, and work on the other side and work my way in from there, meeting that original hole that we drilled for the barrel itself. All right, so that one's all the way through. Going to the other side, same thing, we're just kind of drilling towards that center barrel hole that we made. And we're through again. So I just want to make sure to get all the excess plastic, so once the hole's drilled, I just kind of run the bit through, and then as you can see, we made it all the way straight through the other side. So we did it right, yay. So I'm just going to drill out the rest of these barrel holes, and we'll move on from there. All right, so all 4 of my little barrel tips are drilled. Not all of them have the little side ports on them. This one has some sort of, looks like a little piece of cloth or something wrapped around it. This one looks like it's some sort of bolted together sheet metal, typical orc construction. This is the one we did that has the side ports on it. This one has a kind of a little heat shield going around it. Those aren't all the way drilled through. I'm not going to do that with a little tiny drill bit and go drill all those. It's sort of unnecessary. It was kind of unnecessary to do the barrel, but I think you get a little bit more realism with the barrel drilled out than this. Once I put some wash on here, it'll fill in and that'll serve its intended purpose anyway. So those will be fine like that. Right now I have a lot more clipping and mold line scraping to do. I'm going to save you guys the trouble of that. I may put in a little montage here of me doing that, give you some music to listen to in the background, maybe while you're doing something else if you're really bored. But other than that, this video is going to come to an end. The next time that you see this guy, he will be assembled, and we'll go ahead and show you exactly what I'm talking about as far as mounting him to the base and a little more explanation as to why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. Then we'll go ahead and give him his coat of primer and paint him up. So I appreciate you guys sticking around this long and watching. I'm very much looking forward to seeing the direction this model goes in. Hopefully it comes out as grand as it is in my mind thinking about it and looking at all the different colors in here and what I'm going to have to do to get this thing painted and completed for you guys. So thanks again for watching. I have been streaming just about every night on Twitch. If you guys are interested in coming and hanging out and chatting, I could always use the extra followers and the extra views. If you need something to entertain yourself with, my name is Vanilla Kool-Aid on there. I'm also on Instagram as Vanilla Kool-Aid TTV, since for some reason Vanilla Kool-Aid was already taken. I've been kind of trying to put some behind the scenes stuff on there, so I'll kind of maybe do more announcements or things that you're not going to see in the videos, maybe as a little extra incentive to kind of pop over there and check it out, see what's going on behind the scenes. So again, thanks for sticking around. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.